lovely toddlers, welcome to another Sunday worship at home. Now I don't want to say this out loud, but this might be the last one we have to do at home because church is opening up again. So make sure if you're not already that you're booked on to come to Kingdom Tots next week. That's as long as there's space still. Get in contact with me if you want to know more. So today we are going to carry on looking at a story that Jesus is in. Remember, before half term we did all of the stories of the Old Testament before Jesus was born, and now we're looking at the stories of Jesus, so things that happened when Jesus walked on this earth. And last week we were thinking about the feeding of the 5,000 people. Do you remember when Jesus made the food miraculously more? And today we're going to be looking at another story, another miracle of something that only Jesus could do. But first of all, you know what's coming. It's time for our wiggle song.
Wiggle, 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 freeze. Wiggle, 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 freeze. I said I gotta get the wiggles out of me. Shake my hands, gonna shake my feet, gonna shake my head, gonna groove to the beat. I said I gotta get the wiggles out of me. I gotta get the wiggles out of me. Wiggle, 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 freeze. Wiggle, 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 freeze. I said I gotta get the wiggles out of me. Skiddly sky, skiddly dee. I gotta get the wiggles out of me. I'm the one that hears the story. It's gonna be fun, 'cause hearing about Jesus is for everyone. I gotta get the wiggles out of me. Wiggle, 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 freeze. Wiggle, 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 freeze. I said I gotta get the wiggles out of me. I said I gotta get the wiggles out of me. I said I gotta get the wiggles out of me. Sit down and breathe.
So now Samuel is going to tell you the story of the storm that stopped.
One day, long, long ago, Jesus was teaching by the sea. Soon some more people arrived, then others, then more and more, until there were people everywhere. We can't hear back here. Give me some room. Be quiet. I can't see. The crowds were just too big. No one could see Jesus, and no one could hear Jesus. So Jesus asked his friends, the disciples, to push their boat out into the water. He sat in the boat and the huge crowd spread out along the beach. Now they could all see and hear Jesus as he told them all about God. When he finished teaching the people, Jesus said to his friends, "Let's go over to the other side of the sea." Jesus had finished teaching the crowd, and now he had something to teach his friends. But they didn't know it yet, so they all jumped in the boat with him and set sail across the sea. Jesus was so tired he'd been teaching the people all day, so he lay down in the back of the boat and fell fast asleep. It was a quiet evening and the water gently lapped against the boat and the sun slowly set in the sky. Jesus was sleeping, the disciples were quietly talking. Then, of all a sudden, they were in the middle of the biggest, loudest, scariest, most ginormous storm you could imagine. The wind blew hard, the waves grew huge, the water poured into the boat, but Jesus was asleep. The wind blew harder, the waves grew huger, the water filled the boat, but Jesus was still asleep. Jesus, wake up, wake up! Don't you care? We're drowning. What a silly thing to say to Jesus. Of course he cared. He loved his friends so much that one day he was going to die for them. Jesus stood up in the boat. The wind was still blowing. The waves were bigger than ever. The water was pouring into the boat quicker than the disciples could tip it out again. But the boat was still sinking. But then Jesus did something amazing. He didn't help his friends pour the water out of the boat. He didn't help them try to row back to the land. Jesus simply spoke, but he didn't speak to the disciples. He spoke to the storm, to the wind and to the waves. Quiet, be still. Just 3 little words and the storm stopped right away at the very moment. The sea was quiet, still and calm. Then Jesus looked at his friends. Why are you so afraid? Do you still not trust me? But they were terrified and they asked each other, who is this? Even the waves and wind do what he says. This is what Jesus wanted to teach them. He wanted them to know who he really is. The disciples already knew a lot about God from his special book. They knew that God made everything. He made the world. He made the sun and the moon and the stars. And he made the sea and the wind as well. They knew that only God can tell the sea what to do. That only God can tell the wind when to blow or the waves when to crash. Only God can do these things. But the disciples had just seen Jesus do the same things God can do. So what is the answer to their question? Who is Jesus? Jesus is God.
Now, in this story, that is amazing, isn't it? A storm, a really, really scary storm, stopped because Jesus told it to. That just shows us that Jesus is so, so big and powerful, that he has the power to do anything that he wants to do. So I want you to have a think this week, maybe of something that you think might be impossible, something that you think would be really, really difficult, and then chat to your adults about whether or not you think that God or Jesus would have the power to do that thing. I'm going to leave you now with a craft activity that you can be doing in your homes later today or later on this week. And I hope to see you, actually see your faces really, really soon. Have a great week.